We all know why we're here. So let me ask you a question then. Why the big secret? Truth seekers were really the true leaders. Keep it grooving, the movement like two-seaters. Turn it up, we're knocking through both speakers. It's time we get the truth from the big secret keepers. Hey, truth seekers were really the true leaders. Keep it grooving, the movement like two-seaters. Turn it up, we knocking through both speakers. It's time we get the truth from the big secret keepers. Hey, break it down, now can you peep it? They're deceiving all the people. Let me ask you, what's the secret? Misinformation and lies, a devious disguise. They want the EMF blast until our brains is fried. Oh, point their beams in the sky. Oh, it's a movie now. This world is all CGI, their plot is truly foul. But we're here to rise up and bring the real. Time is now, truth seekers, y'all know how I feel. Truth seekers were really the true leaders. Keep it grooving, the movement like two-seaters. Turn it up, we're knocking through both speakers. It's time we get the truth from the big secret keepers. Hey, truth seekers were really the true leaders. Keep it grooving, the movement like two-seaters. Turn it up, we knocking through both speakers. It's time we get the truth from the big secret keepers. Hey, why the big secret?
Truth seekers, welcome. It is Tuesday night here on Forbidden Knowledge TV. I'm Roderick Martin, and I want to welcome you for being here tonight. And we're going to be talking about that Marilyn Monroe. And some can say it's a conspiracy because there's been so much has happened when you get down to this particular conversation. But we're going to get in a couple of angles today. We're going to get you involved as the audience to maybe add a little structure to the conversation. And when I say structure, just from your perspective, because we have an outline here that I'm going to go over with you. But most importantly, what really happened to Marilyn Monroe, all the things that she was into. And then we're going to get into, because she really just knew too much, was she a part of what could have happened to JFK when it came down to this UFO thing? And we'll tie that in towards the end. So make sure you stick around for that. And we'll do that. So with that being said, as you know, always, I'm going to crank it up. Truth seekers, I'm excited because we're going to have a great conversation today. I'm Roderick Martin. Once again, I want to welcome you to Forbidden Knowledge TV. It's Tuesday night. This is Why the Big Secret Show, and I am your host. Now, in the meantime, you could have been any other place tonight, but you've been right here. So I want to bid you good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be in the 24 time zones that this show is airing. Now, as always, give you a little backstory. I'm located in the Jumbo State. That's where those UFOs come out to play. Now, it is a Texas thing, and with that, I got a big promise to be the boldest, baffling, belligerent YouTube channel in the world, creating captivating conversations that'll certainly cause controversy. Join me tonight as we get into one of the biggest controversies of all time, is what really happened to the greatness of Marilyn Monroe. Now, as always, this definitely will not be no PG conversation. Put the kids to bed, and if you have not, You know I've always going to give you a Texas recipe, but it's going to change tonight. We're going to do some macaroni and cheese and a little chili added to it. Man, that's called Chili Mac. It's really simple. You can put that together in minutes and fill the tummy with it. And it's all the way from Austin, Texas, that recipe. Let me tell you, because it's everywhere. But in the meantime, hey, you know what? Let's get ready. I'm going to say hello to all of you in the chat tonight. I'm going to give out some information to those of you who said, you know what, I want to be part of that research time. But in the meantime, I'm going to get ready to shut this down because we're about to get started. This is my intro, and so if you like it or don't like it, you do put it in the chat. If you don't, okay, so what? Skip this part. You can and come back in about 30 seconds because then the show will get started just for you. All right, so with that being said, you know, one of the main things is this Marilyn Monroe thing, and we're going to get into some of the storylines out here when it comes down to this. One in particular is, you know, hey, what really happened? We're going to go so many ways with this that, you know what, there could have been a lot of people responsible besides herself for what happened to Miss Monroe when it came down to this. But then first of all, let's get back over here and say what's going on in the chat for those folks. I'm going to scroll down here and give you a quick shout out because this is how we roll here right now. So first, we're going to get with Eugene. Welcome to the show. Ivory, welcome to the show. Reggie, welcome to the show. Zeno, I'm sorry. You know, welcome, Truth Seekers. Girl from the Bay, as always, welcome here. Icewater, Winston, what's going on? Welcome to the show. We got Tara Pats as well. Win. So we have a few of you that is here tonight. We got Devin is here. Mr. Rabbit is here. Jayville is here, Netta is here, Chemist Ward is here, Delvin is here, and Dom is here. You know what? And we got the greatness of Byron as well. So, all right, so that'll be enough, and I'll get back to the rest of you in a minute. But in the meantime, let's get ready to get this show on the road. First of all, how many of you got any information that you know about Marilyn Monroe? You want to put it in the chat tonight because you're going to get really involved in this conversation. So we want to make sure how this roll. Now, there's a few key players that we're going to go over here within this particular story, okay? And so I want you to kind of get to know them in a little bit, and then we'll kind of get into some of the backgrounds of that. Of course, right here, we're going to be starting with Marilyn Monroe herself. And so I got some back-end notes here so that we're going to go into each one of these, just a little detail for you, but not like you don't know who she is, but some stuff you may not know. And one of the particular reasons is because, man, there was so much stuff out there about this lady when it came down to it, and her actual cause of death, and still a phenomenon out there. And of course, you know, they have their own rulings, and we'll get into that as well. But basically, at some point today, I mean, she is, you know, she was a popular actress, and you know, I'm talking a megastar is what she was at the time, and around the 1950s, you know, she was known for her blonde bombshell. And of course, she was rumored to be passed around a lot. And so those are the things that we just have to really understand that. Let me look here for a few moments here. But anyway, so where I'm going with that is this lady truly had a background. And so let me just kind of begin right now so that we can go right into. Now, she was born, of course, as Norma Jean Baker. That was her name. I'm like, okay, she went into Marilyn Monroe, okay, from Norma Jean Baker. She was born in Los Angeles as well, you know, and so if any of you know that, then welcome. Now, you know, her mother, as it turned out back then in 1930s, it was really hard back then, and she was really unstable, and she turned her child over to the foster care system. So think about it. Marilyn Monroe had a tumultuous, if that's a word I'm using, correct me. But either way, she had a crazy childhood. And really is to a point to where you can honestly say, wait a minute, if somebody been through all the stuff she's been through and made it to the top, anybody can do it, right? But I wouldn't go through the path that we're going to talk about tonight. And so anyway, she became part of the foster care system. And of course, over the time, she regained custody of her daughter, Norma, who became Moreau, and for a short period of time before losing her again to the state. Now, back in 1935, Grace McKee, okay, was a friend to her mother. Grace marries and becomes what we call Grace Goddard, or whatever her last name is. And then the next several years, she remained unstable for Marilyn. And then, of course, Grace sent Marilyn back and forth to the foster homes and to other family members. So this girl has just been like out there, okay, at this point. Now, in 1942, the Goddard family decided to move to Los Angeles to Virginia, but they didn't want to take Marilyn with them. So after several attempts, they tried to find a home for this lady. Miss Goddard instead asked the neighbor's son. Check this out. She asked the neighbor's son to marry Marilyn. Okay. She says, "Hey, I want to know if you can marry her." So imagine you just over the neighborhood, you next door, and you get a knock at the door, and, "Hey, I want you to marry my daughter, Norma." Of course, at this point, she's Norma, right? And so I'm sure she's still beautiful at this point, right? She's young and just knock at the door. Just, "Hey, would you marry my daughter?" It's like, like Scooby-Doo, like, marry her. And I don't know if he's an ugly guy or whatever. I don't have any pictures of this dude. But anyway, she asked him to marry her because what was going to happen at this point, if they would leave, she was going to have to go back and be sent to the orphanage. And so the neighbor agreed, and so they got married, and her husband, his name was James Daugherty, if I'm pronouncing that correct. And at 16 years old, this girl was married. 16, okay, 16 years old, and on June 15th, 1942. So let's go with a timeline here. But here's the deal. Why at this time, this is where the war was happening, right? And so James went sent off to the war. So imagine you getting this young, beautiful girl knocking at your door, "Will you marry me?" And now all of a sudden he's sent off to war. So while he was gone, she, unbeknownst to him, to her husband, Marilyn signs a contract. Okay, she signs a contract with Blue Book Modeling Agency. Now, I think that's kind of Project Blue Book. All right, so she signs a contract with Blue Book Modeling Agency and become one of their most successful models ever. Okay. And when he learns about her modeling career, he's pissed off. He's to the highest of festivity, if that's the word, because he's in the Army. He's out there with the fellas, and now his girl is now one of the top models. And so you can imagine back in that day of time how he felt and how he was teased when all the men got a picture of his girl up on a little bunker. You know how they do it up there. So anyway, he told her to quit. He says, "You know what? I want you to quit, get out of this thing." And and that was the deal. He told her to quit, get out of it. And so at this point, she's career driven, and you know what happens next, right? Imagine the word boss back then. Okay. You know how it is, the boss, and so she was a boss, chick, or whatever we want to call her at this moment. And she decided to say, "Hey, you know what? I'm not giving up this career." And so while this dude is out there protecting the country, out there taking bullets and shells and whatever, she divorced this dude. Okay. And then her career continued to take off, and she posed for several magazines. She landed a number of acting roles, all of this stuff, and okay, that's fair enough. What do y'all think about that? What do y'all think about her husband is off to fight in the war? She's young. She goes behind her husband and say, "I'm going to sign a modeling contract." She didn't call her husband. She didn't say, "Hey, husband, what do you think about this?" And maybe she didn't even think the man was a husband because she was like forced to marry this dude. But at this point, he's out there fighting, protecting the country, and she signs a modeling contract, and now all of a sudden she dumps this dude. So what do y'all think about that? Put it in the chat. Let me see how y'all feel about that before we keep moving on as we get a little background about this woman and everything else. Do y'all think it was warranted? Should she have dumped the dude? Well, or whatever. Girlfriend of base says she didn't owe him anything. Okay, she might not have owed the man anything, but she was his wife. she was claiming her autonomy. Okay, so now this is back in the 40s, girl from the Bay. This is not now, and I'm good. God says, don't care. Okay, all right. So how many of you women is married in here? And if your husband went off to the army, to the front lines tomorrow, and all of a sudden you decide you want to do a modeling deal that's going to take you out there, would you let him know, or are you just going to divorce him? Well, would you let him know before you sign the deal? And then if he says, hey, no, baby, I don't want you out there, what would you do? Okay, because we're not talking equivalent to an only fan page or nothing, right? So you get what I'm saying. So anyway, she at least should mention it. Okay, see, all right, yes, all right. So at least somebody got some stuff out here. Really bold move for those times, even now times as household. I know, Bartley, it was a bold move. So anyway, she then at this point lands a lot of roles, okay? And so here's where the story changes a little bit, okay? She then meets this guy, okay? And he is very, very instrumental in her world. This picture is up here on this thing here. His name is Peter Lanford. Okay. Now I want y'all to kind of remember this guy, because this guy here was a game changer. And let me give you a little background that I picked up on this dude. Peter Lanford was well-known celebrity in the 1940s and 50s. Now he was a member, listen up, because this is important. He was a member of Frank Sinatra's Rat Pack. Y'all see where we're getting ready to go now? The girl is out there now. Husband, she was just a little form girl, knocked on the door and, all right, marry my girl. Okay, she goes off. Now she's in magazines, and now she's getting ready to be involved with the Rat Pack. Now, in 1954, Peter married Patricia Kennedy. So let's get this, where we're tying this together. The sister of the 34th president, JFK, and U.S. Attorney, General, which is Robert Kennedy. And together, Peter and Patricia, they had 4 children. So keep that right there. Peter meets Marilyn, 1951, and the plot begins to change. From this point, her world was just chaotic, okay? And how and where they met is still a little unclear, but the word is that the two dated for a short time before realizing they were better off friends. How many of this happened to a lot of y'all? How many of y'all dated somebody and said, it's Lawford? Okay, you're correct. Let me make sure I pronounced that right. I said Langford, but y'all get the point. It's right there. You scholars, Magneticus, I know. It's right there on the screen, Lawford. Between here and here with my bad eyesight, it changed to Langford. And I got my glasses. They're over there. I'll put them on for y'all in a minute. But anyway, this thing, remember, she's already kicking it with him, okay? He's married with kids, and the game changed, okay? So let's get now into where we're going to go from here. Someone said Peter was the last person seen with before her death. Oh, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Y'all on y'all game tonight. That's cool. All right. So, but here's the deal. We're giving this background. In 1954, okay, January the 14th, Marilyn marries Joe DiMaggio, the famous baseball player. Now she's kicking it, right? Okay, she's got a type flat husband, and and at this point, baseball players was paid a lot of money, so she could have probably lived with him, right? And of course, I think that's the idea that he had, and now this dude, everybody had motives at this time, okay? So DiMaggio literally married Marilyn Monroe out of what was described as pure jealousy for his wife. So Joe wanted Marilyn to retire as a beautiful celebrity as she was. He was like, you know what, let's shelf this thing. You're young, you're pretty, you're not spoiled. As Oprah would say in the movie, y'all know the movie I'm talking about, Color Purple. She hadn't been spoiled yet. And so at this point, he's like, you know what, let's take this trophy wife, okay? And we need to put you some shelf life. Let's bring you to the house and get you off the scene where everybody's watching you for 10 nickels or 20 cents for the magazine, 10 cents or whatever at the time. And it's like, okay, fine, let's do this thing. But once again, the boss chick, Marilyn Monroe, says, heck no, man, I'm not doing this. And so she was like, I'm not being a housewife. We're not doing that. Okay, so far, I know y'all women are out here saying, yeah, give her her liberty, give her autonomy, give her the whatever that little, chick picture that be holding her arms, give her all of this because a woman deserves that. Okay, let's give her all this freedom, and we're gonna take this down to see what this freedom was all about. And would you end up this way? Not so much the ending of the story, but the path of freedom. Okay, so let's do it. So we're gonna get down with it. So at this point, this was an issue from the beginning. Her issue had issues. She got a man that's a famous baseball player. Okay, Joe DiMaggio was no joke. Then he's got money. So back then he was probably making 500 a week, and 500 a week back then was golden, right? Today you can't even, all right, maybe 1,000, a month or whatever, but that was big money, right? Back in the 30s and 40s. So he could have every bit of took care of this chick, right? So she was like, no, I'm not doing it. And she files for a divorce again in the same year. She filed for a divorce very quickly. All right. All right. She's bossing up now. Give her freedom. Yeah, all right. Give her freedom. She's like, you know what? I'm, Marilyn Monroe now. I used to be Norma, old country Norma. And now, she's on her second marriage. Now she hadn't been spoiled, no children yet at this point. And okay, this is it. She's there. All right. So okay, all right. She's the hottest chick around. That's fine at this point. Now in 1954, this is getting ready to change a little bit. Now I'm gonna get y'all involved in here just a little bit because this is a lot of backstory. I'm just giving y'all the facts, or for you young folks, some receipts. I don't even know where that word came from, but anyway, I'm gonna give you young folks some receipts about the history of what's going on here. So at this point, uh, you know, Ronald says Marilyn Monroe was not just a dumb blonde and a sex goddess. She was extremely intelligent who kept a diary of all her activities, and no one can see or where the diary or know where it is, and also her relationship. I, Ronald, there's a lot of women in here keeps diaries. I mean, I don't know if that made that exception at this time, and then she's probably just needed somebody to talk to. But I get what you're saying. I wouldn't call her a businesswoman yet. Maybe. Okay, well, you know what? She made a lot of boss moves, and we're going to talk about it tonight. All right, so let's give one to Ronald saying that she was not a dumb blonde. And who did the do? Oh, that's Betty Boop. That's somebody else. Okay, well, that's a whole nother story. All right. So anyway, Peter invites JFK. This is in 1954. This is where this game is about to take flight. Are y'all ready? Where we getting ready to go now? Because there's a lot of connections into the situation of what's going on. In the meantime, definitely hit the thumbs up here on the show. And we're yeah, I didn't want to use that word JVL, but yes, she was a boss. Yeah, she was one of those. And yeah, I got the itch too. Yeah. So anyway, y'all figured it out. So the whole I know, I'm funny. I'm really funny. I am funny. Y'all can text. He's funny. But anyway, she then invites JFK. He was not the president yet. He was the senator at this point. Him and Jackie, okay, that's his wife. They go to the party of this guy named Charles Feldman, and where they met Marilyn Monroe and her husband, who was still then before she, divorced Joe DiMaggio. Okay, so she goes to this highly elite party. All right, where they all hanging out, kicking it or whatever. Now, a lot of people that was there. There was a lot of people was there. I wasn't there. I mean, I know I'm old and I got gray hair, but I called somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody knew somebody. But doing a little research, they said that during this party, that JFK and Marilyn Monroe had a noticeable attraction to one another at this party, and their spouses was not happy with this. The guy JFK spouse, of course, and then Joe DiMaggio was not happy. And some people said they had a lot of energy, In fact, they was so much. What's the word? Yeah, we're gonna use that energy in so much conscious space together that they end up flirting in front of people. The whole party, everybody knew it. Now, I can tell you what, Uh, in fact, I heard it got a little wild where she was really on top of this dude in front of everybody. And I don't know how you women are today, okay, with this new thing here. You know, everybody got their own box in space, but if I don't know what you would think if this girl was pretty much on top of this dude. Now, this is before he became president, so the clock is thickened. So y'all remember, we already brought you back into Peter. Okay, remember him? He was the first one, you know, messing around with this chick, Marilyn Monroe, boss chick. Okay, and somebody told me, I wish my husband would what meet Marilyn Monroe because she had bar none. She was Marilyn freaking Monroe, Nicole. She's saying I can do whatever I want to any man's wives, girls, or whatever, any of y'all wives or husbands. I'm sorry. She was like, I can just take your man. Y'all remember the song, you know, take your, I don't know. Don't worry about that. But the whole point is this girl's got game. We're talking equivalent to, and they're not compared to, but imagine Beyonce walks into the party with you guys and your husband, and she walks over and decides to dance in front of your husband. Some of y'all probably just gonna dance with them because you just can't do nothing about that. You can't do nothing about that if Beyonce decides to dance with your husband. You gotta watch. There's nothing you could do. Y'all can tell me now. Ain't nothing y'all gonna do if Beyonce walks in and dance with your husband. Your husband ain't gonna do nothing. He ain't gonna push her off. So they wasn't pushing Marilyn Monroe off at all. And if you think you can get in here, not one of y'all gonna say that you gonna. Some of y'all gonna watch. But anyway, let me get back to the story. So I'm talking about Magnetica said my wife would let me dance. All right, that's cool. Somebody else said they're gonna join in. Girl from the Bay talk about wish Beyonce would. Yeah. Yeah, right. Yes. Dancing talk about she gonna say, can I get the next dance? I know, fall in line, right? You're gonna have to fall in line when Queen Bee walks in there talking about I just looks at you and smile, I want to dance with your husband. And then I want to freak dance with your husband. I mean, it's anyway. So some of the states, some of the people state they witnessed Marilyn Monroe and Joe DiMaggio really having words over this dude. So they had an argument at the party. And I can imagine back then what he said was, come on, gee, Marilyn, why do you have to get up all on him like that? He's the senator, you know, whatever. Because, you know, today we would have said something like, what? You know, I mean, it would have been some real stuff, you know, at this point. I would have been like, get your that nigga. You know what I'm saying? I would have been, it would have been raw. It would have been really raw. Okay. I'm just telling you. So, hey, all right. So in 1955, Marilyn's friend Bob Slatzler, okay, stated that according to Marilyn, that the sexual relationship, now we get ready to get thick and boss people out there, okay, that the relationship with John F. Kennedy began in New York after the divorce with DiMaggio. Okay, at least she had a little respect for her husband. All right, she had a little respect for her husband. She divorced the two before she slept with the other dude, but he was still married though. Okay, and of course they would meet discreetly at a number of locations throughout their affair, including. Now, let me give you some locations here. They was at the Carlisle Hotel. The girl wasn't at Motel 6. Let me tell you something. She had class. This was Marilyn Monroe. She was like, you know what? Meet me at the Beverly Hills Hilton Hotel. You know, even Hilton people had money way back in then. They got some old money. They even met at the house of what's that dude singing? Y'all know what I'm talking about? Bing Crosby. You know, you would be singing the song "Like Christmas" or whatever. You know, y'all know the voice. You know, he was cool. He was really cool. In 1956, though, she's married again. This is a third husband. All right. Where y'all going with this now? She's bossing up. What about this phenomenon energy that she wanted to explore? She's on husband number 3. She's throwing them out like catfish. All right. And she's marrying them back and forth. You know what I'm saying? And she's sleeping with the senators. And okay, this is not, you know, the girl is on it at this point. Okay. You know, and one of those deals. So I think it's, you know, all right. So here's the deal. In 1956, she marries a third husband, and this dude is named Arthur Miller. And like I said, this clock is getting ready to, yeah, okay. Chemical words talk about third time's a charm. Yeah, right. And Ronald talked about, doesn't everybody flirt in Hollywood? Doesn't the actress and the actresses cheat on each other? Well, or according, yes, because the last of the Mohican couples that I thought was not cheating was Will and Jada. I was like, these people got class. He don't curse or nothing. And now all of a sudden she talking about, and do y'all remember, I'm just getting off point, the dude she was cheating with now came out with his lover today. So he was like saying he's now found true love, or a couple of days ago. And so it's a guy. And so he went from that to that. So more power to him. But I'm just saying, man, this world out there. But yeah, Will and Smith, I just thought that was it. But anyway, so Marilyn marries for the third time. And although she remarried her, she was remarried, she still had an affair with Kennedy. And she continued throughout the remainder of 1950s. This girl now is married for the third time. Okay, y'all see where I'm going with this. JFK was not the president yet. It wasn't Mr. President. And she met him off and on when she was with the second husband. Okay. Now she messing with the dude with the third husband. So it's almost like it's an understanding. It's a real understanding. Anybody got any understandings out there like that? Yeah, go ahead and tell me. Do y'all have an understanding that the husband or your wife or whatever can do whatever they want? Within, well, I mean, he's the senator, for crying out loud, right? So now she got a third husband, but the dude in the middle is still there. Yeah, you're right. That's what she's getting around. She's getting around like a FedEx box. Shoot, I'm sorry. No, she's a boss chick. But she was getting around though. So like the Mac Real on the Fair World Tour. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, that's neither here and there, because she's got her freedom, her independence. She's a boss chick, and she can sleep with whoever she wants as a married woman, right? So although she did that, she was messing with this dude all the way through the 50s. Girl from Big Time, FedEx expensive. Yeah, okay, that was a high ticket item back then. So in 1960, by December of 1960, Marilyn's life came apart completely. And at this point, she battled several months of depression, binged on alcohol, and then she had a lot of sleeping aids. So what we're going to do right there, before we now get deep into the stuff, let's get a couple of messages out and get you guys ready for there. If you haven't had the opportunity, real quickly to let you know, we are in the motion of hitting 100,000 people on a YouTube channel. Right now we need about 70, 50, 20 people to reach 7K. So if you have not subscribed to the channel, there should be a link here in the description. I want you to go over as we take a break here and just hit the button, come right back, and from there as well. So one of the things, I want you guys to kind of know, there's a lot of stuff that's going on out here that you can find a few. So let me just kind of show you a little bit and share some information with you. And then we're going to get really deep. So y'all get prepared to where we're going to go. But in the meantime, if you haven't found me in some other places, there is a new show out now on GAIA, which is Beyond Belief with George Noory. Definitely check that out. And if you have, spend some time and write a review for that show as well. And so let people know, this is George Noory here. He's got Beyond Belief, great guy. And I was on the show there with him and pretty much had a great time. So, and a couple other places you can find me here would be right there. Okay, on Open Minds. You can find me on Tubi, GAIA, Forbidden Knowledge, all those places.
When I look up in the sky, we're out here asking why, but we don't get no reply. We want disclosure, we need the actual facts. They're covering all the tracks, but we're not backing down. It's our time.
All right. So also, if you're going to be ready for Hidden Cruise, there's going to be a UFO cruise coming up called Hidden Secrets. And this is going to be in April 7th to the 14th in 2023. I mean, it's going to be a lot of people there. We're going to do some night watching. Here's some of the speakers. Jimmy Church, you know who that is from Forbidden Knowledge here. Then you have, of course, Nick Pope is one of my great friends in there. And Ruben Langdon will be there. And there's a couple of other people. So if you definitely decide, go to the hiddensecretcruise.com. And definitely it's going to be a drop-down menu. Let them know that you heard it from Roderick Martin. You'll pick that name, and we'll do that. Now, another things that I've been really sharing with you is my man, Canadian Awareness. His podcast has been popping. And so I want you all to know about that, and definitely make sure you go and get to his channel. He's been interviewing some lot of great people. He just did Mr. Silver, who was also in Forbidden Knowledge Black Knight Satellite there, and that'll be something that you should see. In the meantime, check out my boy Canadian. All right. If you just hopping in on with us, definitely, like I said, y'all go over and check out my man's Anthony's podcast, and that is Canadian Awareness. I mean, you got to check him out. You want to hear some strong things, especially, he's an authentic reptilian channeler. And one of these days, we're going to have him here as well. So you definitely want to check that out from there. Now, if you hear, like I said, welcome. We were talking about the Marilyn Monroe story, giving some background information, setting it all up. All roads going to lead down eventually to this UFO thing. Where did it come together? And also with JFK. And so we're going to put all of that together as we go down this rabbit hole of information today. And so if you, again, just getting here with us, welcome. If you're here for the first time, put your name in the chat. We'll get you a shout out. If you haven't had an opportunity, again, to get to whythebigsecret.com, make sure you do that. And also the last part of this announcement before we get back into the boogie woogie is that on whythebigsecret.com, we have our private members area that we're putting a waiting list together. This is going to be a social community for those who are, from starseeds, empaths, the conscious people, UFO investigators, UFO reports and people. It's going to be one of the most exclusive communities of all times when it comes down to this, because there's a lot of things that we cannot say here on YouTube and other places that is going to be talked about in the particular back office of the behind that scene community. So go to whythebigsecret.com, make sure you get onto the waiting list of that. And tomorrow on our show, we're going to be talking about, and that's over at Why the Big Secret, we're going to be talking about what just happened. There was somebody recently, I'm not going to give you his name, but the FBI raided this dude's house. He was a UFO person. He had a website, and he posted some pictures out of nowhere with a no-knock warrant. They came recently and raided his house, took his computers, put his girlfriend, okay, we already talked about people in relationship, on the gunpoint and everything else, and took everything without saying a word. And I told y'all about Congress that time when he said that we're going to, about consequences. A lot's getting ready to change. So a lot of stuff we can't say out here in the open, and I'm just telling you. So anyway, go to whythebigsecret.com, get on the waiting list for the membership. All right, so let's get back into the conversation and where we were. And I already gave you some timeline. So we're now have moved into the year of 1960. Okay, Marilyn has been out there now. Okay, she's been with the senators. She's been married, more than two or three times. Like a strike on a baseball field, whatever. And she's out there, but she's still a boss woman, right? She got her stuff together, supposedly. You think, but here's the deal: by 1960, by December of 1960, Marilyn's life was coming apart as she battled from several months of depression and a binge on alcohol, sleeping pills. Now, okay, some would say, well, how on earth a woman who is on top of her game, she's in magazine, at the time deemed as one of the most beautiful people walking around on the planet, had more husbands than, like going back to the motherland where you can have multiple wives. She had all kind of husbands, okay? I'm not here to talk about this woman. I'm here to give the facts. Marilyn Monroe had 3 husbands. She was married 3 times, and that's okay. So anyway, she has some depression now. She's binging on alcohol, sleeping aids. Now, this could tie into the ultimately ending of the story because this is some of the things that we said. But the key to this is there are some other issues. Now she had films that she had done, 2 consecutive films. They just flopped. Nobody went to see them. She had an idol at this time from her childhood. His name was Clark Gable. Y'all remember he's supposed to have been the dude. And yep, Clark Gable was bought out at all. Yeah. So he died. And after filming with her, and she was being blamed, or she was being blamed by his team for causing him stress. Her team said, "Look, your beautiful, whatever." Her team was like, "Your beautiful was causing him stress," and because you got to think about it, she caused other women. She was flirting with their husbands in plain sight. I mean, in plain sight. I told y'all about the Beyonce movie. In plain sight, she owned a 3rd husband. Okay, and now Clark Gable. This dude died when he was filming with her, and she was blamed for it. I don't know what went down on that deal, but all right. So, all right. So now her 3rd divorce was finalized. So I'm gonna pause right there for those of you. The girl had got 3 divorces. She's messing around with husbands, other people's husbands in plain sight. Her films are coming apart. She's blamed for her best friend's death. I mean, maybe I don't know what happened. Maybe he, just couldn't handle it, and maybe some people say that's a way to go out. If that's happened, I don't know if that happened. That they was in that kind of process. But the whole point is, she was causing them stress during the recording of the film. Okay, and so, but again, she's the boss chick. Okay, all of y'all in the beginning, let her get her freedom. Okay, now this tornado is out here tearing up some stuff now. What do y'all think now? I mean, we just in the middle of it. What are y'all, what kind of consensus from the beginning of her being the blonde with all of the business skills? Oh, she's just an independent woman. Let her have her autonomy. Now this is a tornado, a real life tornado. Beautiful one though. Okay. So now she done lost her contracts with 20th Century Fox. And in her mindset at this point, she believed her career was over. So what do you do now? If you Marilyn Monroe and you believe your, career is over, then of course, you want to step in for some things. So let me read a couple of checks here. I would be a liar if I said I didn't like me some hard drinks. Okay. All right. I just read that out of there. Lonnie says she was a boss, but everyone who worked with her says she was a super unprofessional. So Lonnie, how do we have a boss and super unprofessional in the same sentence? Why we just can't call her what it was? Because obviously now she's moving up the ladder, and nobody just really goes home and say, your such and such was a hoe, a hoe. You know what I'm saying? Well, ain't nobody saying those things. But this girl is out there, got more people going through like a drive-through, okay, and taking names and calls and all kind of stuff. So anyway, so on February the 1961, now out of all of this, she decides she checks into the Payne Whitney Psychiatric Clinic in Manhattan, which was great. Okay, and she did under the aliases of Faye Miller, and as a self-harm risk. In other words, she was suicidal at this point, and so they let her check in. Okay, that's fine. We'll do that. Because of the label, she was not allowed any personal property, and she was forced to wear a straitjacket. She was forced to wear a straight jacket. Now we're talking about Marilyn freaking Monroe. Beautiful, out there, messing with y'all husbands and everything, and she's got a straight jacket on. So now her issues got issues. And we ain't even got to the deepness of it. This girl still had second and third chances to move around. Okay. Thank you, Becky. Becky says, great show, Roderick. Thank you. And give a shout out to our researchers and the ones who coming on board. We will be reaching out to all of you. Give a shout out to Lonnie, the show producer, has a lot of intricate parts in this whole thing. You know, I'm more the voice to it. You know, she's the I would say I'm the brains and she's the beauty, but she's both. Lonnie's the beauty and the brains of the show. All I am is just here to spit the word. Okay, so but anyway, let's get back to this thing because this is the, you know, I just jumped off track there and give Lonnie her props. Okay, I just did that. She deserves it. All right, so the point where I'm saying is she eventually, this girl was wearing a straight jacket. Anybody know what that is? Do y'all know what a straight jacket is? And I'm not talking because it's cold. She just had on this attire. She had on a straight jacket, meaning she was crazy, legitimately crazy. All right. And I know some of y'all will still do it. If you meet her right now in today's time, she was wearing a straight jacket, you're going to still, we can say it on YouTube. You're going to hit it. You're going to do it. I know you're going to do it. Mm-hmm. Even you know she's crazy. You're going to do it. All right. So she eventually transferred to Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center as a general hospital patient. She was just a patient. And okay, so at this point, she was weaned off the sleeping pills. She was weaned, you know, the addiction that she had. She actually bounced back completely within a year. The girl was like, boom. Okay, so let's give her props. She bounced back. And in April 1961, Marilyn was out of the treatment. She was living in Brentwood, California. We know, was that where OJ was? Brentwood? Boy, this plot's thickened. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did OJ live in Brentwood? Boy, all the crazies. So the whole point was she was out of the treatment center. So she went to Brentwood, California, home. That's where she was, and began reestablishing herself in a bond with the Lawford family, who lived and not too far from where she was. And y'all remember Lawford? I told you about him earlier. This dude become really significant. He's the one who met her back in the day, slept with her for a little while with the greatness of Marilyn Monroe. Now, he got the early stuff. Okay. He got the stuff when it was like really, you know, fresh off the ground. He got it. Well, he got it early. And I don't know. That was bad. Man, somebody for the counsel me now. Okay. So he got some early vegetables. Okay. No problem. But they became, he was like, I'm out. We just gonna be friends from now on. I know where this is going, and this is here's where we're going. So remember, they had this bond, and then she the one introduced him to you know, JFK and his wife at the time. Now let's change the game a little bit here. On June of 1961, Bobby and Marilyn meet for the first time. Yeah, we going somewhere now. Bobby, she meets Bobby. Okay, that's this dude right here. Okay, let me give you a little background because I had to kind of go and say, you know, let me dig up a little thing about Bobby, just from not just who he was, but just let's see. We got a little information about Bobby here. Okay, there we go. So we did a little background on Bobby. Now, he was also, yeah, he was referred to as Bobby. He was born May 29th, 1917 in the Brookline, Massachusetts. Now, he was the seventh of 9 children, this Bobby guy. His family was well off financially. The dude had the ducats, okay? So why not, okay? He's Bobby. And, okay, yeah, he's the brother of JFK, okay, who she was already messing with while she was married to 2 husbands. Are we going somewhere with this? She was married to Joe DiMaggio, the other dude Miller, and Dowdy in the beginning, and she was messing with JFK when he was a senator and his wife, messing with this dude in front of at the party, so everybody kind of knew it. So obviously, Bobby, you know, Robert or JFK called his brother, dude, you know how you talk, right? You know, because it ain't his wife, and Grand Zeno, thank you for the chat. Yeah, in fact, if y'all want to buy some popcorn, virtual popcorn while we in this show, it's definitely warranted for you to do that. $5. Super chat it. Go ahead, whatever. Get in the game. It's support. It's support. If you find any value in the show tonight, support the show. Definitely do that. So, but anyway, Grand Zeno, thank you for the super chat. So, but what I'm saying is, she's now messing. She already was messing with what's his name? JFK. You think he didn't call and say, "Hey, dude, we have something special here"? Do y'all remember the girl? And I forget her name. Maybe somebody put it in the chat that Jamie Foxx, all of them was talking about. That was the rumor, like passing the word around. Yeah, y'all need to meet this chick. Whatever her name was. Y'all, you know what I'm talking about. She had like a whale, down here where you can go fishing with a long pole, and y'all get that later. But the whole point is, she met Bobby. Bobby was married to Ethel Greenwich in 1950, and together they had 11 children. So Bobby was fertile as all get out. And keep that. I'm gonna put that to the side. This man on the picture was fertile. Okay, I want y'all to keep that in your mind. He already had 11 children, so he was very capable for what you're going to hear about later on in the show. Damn, did I just give it away? I don't know. All right, so we'll do that. All right, so at this point, it's now we're looking at what is happening here. So let's get down to the point. I'm sorry, I'm just doing my thing here. There we go. All right, so at this point, Bobby also in 1960, he served as his older brother, John F. Kennedy, in the presidential campaign and manager, and shortly after that was sworn in as Attorney General. So, like I said, Bobby now meets this girl, all right, through the Lawford dude, okay? Now, in July 19, yeah, I know, 11 kids, Lord, yeah, I know, but the dude was fertile. I mean, if you got 11 kids, your wife was like, she understood the mission. Take care of my man at some point, but the consequences was high. 11 children. And at this point, oh my God. So they definitely didn't do what we're doing. All right. So in July 1961, I'm going to bring all of this home. According to Marilyn's friend, Bobby reached out to meet Marilyn, and he was like, hey, I want to meet this chick. Okay, so didn't he know that this chick, or did he not know that this chick was already messing with his brother? Is that a conversation they had on Thanksgiving? And Thanksgiving to all of you coming up this weekend. Was that a conversation that they had this weekend? Not this weekend, but in Thanksgiving. And he was like, hey, man, you got to meet this girl, Marilyn. The stuff, the whatever is pretty good. This girl got some good sugar honey iced tea. You know what I'm saying? And so at this point, she's getting out there now. And so basically, here's where now this gets really ugly. This is where we now get ready to go downhill. This is where it's going to get a little iffy. And this is where all the conspiracies, what we've heard, begin to somebody told me she got that good. Boy, y'all funny. Y'all know we got kids watching. No, they should be all put to bed and eating that chili mac that I said earlier. So you okay. Keep it in the family. We're good. So right, keep it in the family. His brother gave him the pass. Yeah, I know. That's like that, and at this point. Now, we ain't gonna call that a scandalous move, So are there any guys here that you and your brother, the same, person? You know what I'm saying? Did y'all do it? You know what I'm saying? Put it in the chat. Or okay, equal opportunity ladies, or the ladies out here who sisters said, hey, we took down the same bro. Ooh, yeah, I know, right? But it was happening back then. This is Marilyn Monroe. She's all over TV. So anyway, Bobby at this time recently wrote a book about organized crime, which he was turning into a film. Okay. Somebody don't tell her business like that. Don't tell your business. Yeah. No. Oh, you talking about them? She's talking about don't tell y'all business. Go let it out. Who? It's over with. You're done. You can go and tell us. Well, anyway, so Bobby was working on a film on organized crime that he was turning into a film, and then Monroe was like, "Hey, you know what? I'm a boss chick. Hopefully, I can have that meeting with Bobby, and he'll give me an opportunity." So do you think she sat down, said, "Hello, Bobby, let me read the script of your crime movie. Hi, don't kill me. Or did she says, come here, man. Let's talk about this script back here in the back. You know what I'm saying? Did she use her business woman's thing that y'all said, the professional that you said, Lonnie? Was she a professional and says, let me read the script? Oh, shout, bang, oh, or was it to the back? All right, y'all get that later. We don't have to go there. You don't even have to go there with me. Y'all can just let me stay out there by myself with that deal. That's cool, and I'll do that. Not a problem. I'll do that. So, Lisa says she was actually very intelligent. All right. Okay. I'll definitely let her read his script. I know, right? Read the script. She can read my script. That's for sure. All right. So anyway, so Bobby, in turn, she thought he was going to give her an opportunity to return to acting after being released from her contract with Fox the previous year. Remember, she got dumped there. And so another part of this, they spoke several times through the month. So he's on it, and oftentimes directly from the Justice Department office. This dude was bold. He hears working for the people, and he's like, "Let me." The secretary says, "Marilyn's on the phone." He's like, "Hey, Marilyn, what's going on?" Now, by this time, he done talked to his brother. His brother done told him the deal with what's going on with this girl. Probably done described her from head to toe. Literally, he knows. He didn't have to do no reconnaissance mission. He is the Attorney General at this point. And this girl is out there, but yet she had a direct phone line to this dude. But people around that office at that time, they wasn't, they didn't think nothing was going on. They just thought they was friends because why? She was known to mess with his brother. Who would think that? Who would think the brother would go back and stab the side chick of his other brother? Is there some kind of limitation to this thing? Well, anyway, so Bobby, he was like, hey, he was a kind person. He figured out he can try to help her get her career back on track. Boy, that's one for the ages. That is one for the ages. Lindsay said, I'm enjoying your storytelling. Thank you so much. Thank you so much because thank you so much. I really do. You don't know more than I'm telling you. That was a great thing. Thank you so much. So I know Johnny talked about a bait move. I know, right? These people got game. Now this is the Oval Office stuff. Now we hear all the stuff that's happening now, and you talking Monica Lewinsky and all that. They ain't got nothing compared to what was going on there. This was in plain sight, and the plot thickens. So I'm gonna give you some more timeline, and then we're gonna get into some questions that I need to ask you guys. So in August 1962, the pair continue meeting secretly. This is Marilyn Monroe and Bobby. I didn't say JFK. All right, the president of the United States. The brother and her start meeting secretly. Why? They need to practice on the film. What they need. Were they doing a rehearsal? Was she really rehearsing her lines? Did she even have lines in the rehearsal? Why would you even give her a talking? I wouldn't even give her a talking role if we was rehearsing. Should be talking about why my script ain't saying nothing. It ain't saying nothing but humming, baby. It ain't said you'll have no words in this script. None, not tonight. You got to pretend or whatever. But anyway, so if she's bossing up and she's falling for this one, now she's going to meet this dude privately. And but anyway, they started a platonic relationship and became romantic. Wow. So now they romantic, and all of a sudden, although she remained involved with both John and Bobby, now she's messing with the brothers. Okay, so is that let me pause right here. Is there not a problem? Do anybody still saying Marilyn is the bomb of what she's doing? Anybody condoning this, saying that's how a woman hurt should be? Um, Saying from Into the World News says Bobby couldn't resist Marilyn. No, he couldn't resist something else, not just Marilyn. There's got to been something else that this girl, you know, I don't know the power of all that, but we're talking some powerful dudes, man. The president, the freaking, attorney general, and they could probably have just about all the other groupies out there that they wanted. People come in under the White House, come in through the back doors. But why her? Why Marilyn Monroe? Okay, y'all seen her pictures. Okay, that's fine. She was a cute chick. She had a little mole. I've seen some people with moles. All right. She had a little curls in her hair. All right, she was cool. I haven't really seen in the pictures that she was fine or nothing. And maybe back then, fine wasn't a thing. I don't know. But whatever the deal was, spiritual gangster, but she was a team player. I'll give her that. Any more team players out there? Any more team players out there for the family? Yeah. Everyone's coming through a back door. Y'all funny. Y'all are so funny. Y'all acting like she even had to say two options no to men. Y'all acting like she even had to say the option. Okay, come on, girlfriend, baby. You telling me you would with two brothers? No, you wouldn't, homegirl. You've been around me a long time. I don't think you'll be doing that. No, no, no. All right. So, all right. Somebody tell me Marilyn's still alive. All right. That's funny. Jeffrey said there's a lot of women out there who respect themselves and I admire, but let me ask you this, really a casting couch or some women get used? Okay. All right. So there you go. There's an opinion there. But let me get back on point here. John and Bobby Kennedy, which was friend of Marilyn, stated that with Bobby, she was more romantically. All right. So between the two, she says, I like my Oscar Mayer has a first name. I like this one over here. And maybe size does matter. She liked Bobby more than JFK. Now, Bobby had more work than JFK. The dude had 11 kids, so his muscles was built probably. I mean, he had a lot of work. I'll figure that one out later. But there's nothing bad for YouTube. The dude muscle, it's a muscle. His muscle was work. All right, so that's one of the dudes. And so Joshua says, this can't be Billy Carson's channel. Well, it is Billy Carson's channel. And I'm Roderick Martin, the host of Why the Big Secret. And you can, do what we do. He says Marilyn's still alive. So where I'm going with this is she chose Bobby, and she says she's more romantically involved with this dude, where there was even talking. Now, he supposedly she pulled a sunshine move on this dude. This dude had 11 kids, and they was talking about divorcing his wife to marry Marilyn Monroe. What is he thinking? Or what was he thinking? You marrying a dude that your brother done stabbed, you know what I'm saying? Or done, really, been with, and along with everybody else. But the whole point, and okay, now don't get me wrong, y'all. I'm not saying that there's not people who've been involved with other people. There's a big difference between you having a girl, husband, wife, whoever that done slept with 30 people silently. Nobody knows. Their bodies out there. They're just unknown. We're talking somebody who's been on the cover of magazines that everybody know who's been in this pudding. And so you gonna marry this chick, and you know this, and you. So I think I don't think she knew. I think she thought he was. She wanted the power. I believe that. I believe that 100%. She wanted power. Sorry, I believe that 100%. So at this point, he was supposed to leave his wife. Remember, this guy had 11 kids. Not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 kids. So in 1962, this was in May 19th at a birthday party. This was a JFK birthday fundraiser party. Marilyn sang happy birthday to JFK. I don't know. Is that the song where she goes, happy birthday, Mr. President? How is she moving in the circles like that? Deep Throat. That's the lady I name I was trying to think earlier. That's who, remember how she was moving in all these circles, whatever her name is. Y'all know her name. Put it in the chat. But maybe that's how she was moving around. Everybody's talking about Marilyn Monroe. So now it's got me thinking, what was she really, bringing to the party? So she's singing happy birthday to this dude. And Superhead. Yep. Superhead. Yes. Yes. Superhead. Maybe she was the super blonde of the time of that, time frame. Maybe she was. I don't know. Yeah. All right. So at this point, let's move this story on. We're going to do that. So, all right. So she's saying happy birthday to this dude, and her performance was exciting for the men in the room, and it was tasteless and disrespectful to the women who watched Marilyn reveal a tight fit, very revealing dress as she seductively saying happy birthday to the president. I told you this girl couldn't be trusted, but y'all sitting here the whole time saying it's okay. So now she done went to another party. She already did it no, remember she already did this to JFK when he was married the first time. All right, so this wasn't nothing new. She's now strutting her stuff. All right, so guests say during the party, that she went after Bobby Kennedy in front of his wife, pinning him against the wall as she danced. Yeah. So now she done sang to the president and then went to another brother in front of his wife. The girl didn't have no boundaries at this point, okay? So what do we go from this? She has no boundaries. Who invited her to the party? I don't even know. Oh, that dude, Peter Lawford. Yeah. But some will say, although a lot of people was visually upset, Ethel Kennedy just sat there and chilled. Ethel Kennedy says, okay, I done gave this dude 11 kids. I'm tired. She was like, you know what? Go ahead, get his attention because I can't do no more. This dude don't want to do nothing but lay, So she was like, she probably was like sending Marilyn, like fur coats and stuff, like, just get him off of me. I don't did, and that's probably why she was okay with that. But in 1962, this is in July, things got chaotic as rumors of Marilyn had an affair. It began to leak with the members of the government. Now we getting into where we going toward the ending of this thing. Okay. So they've been questioning, people questioning the brothers about their extramarital activities. It doesn't look good. Word got out that Marilyn was pregnant with Bobby's child, but had an abortion to maintain the secrecy of the relationship. Now, I believe that because this man, it wasn't JFK's baby. How do I know? Because Bobby was a proven stud. This dude had 11 kids. He was proven. His genetics worked. So the likelihood of her being married and then, Margaret Poverett telling JFK, you are not the father, but he was very likely. So the brothers was at the beginning to worry about, okay, now we got secrecy, we got issues out there, and they began to ignore this girl's call. Okay, they began to distancing themselves from this woman. Oh, wow. Now, what we failed to mention is how much conversation and bedroom talks that she probably had with these people. How many secrets and things that she knew about, like a UFO crash. Yeah. We're going to get into that. That's why we're here. She ended up knowing that there was a crash that happened and that they was going to go, so she knew too much information there. But she didn't, she stopped communicating with these people. And then, of course, she called the White House. She was calling the Attorney General's office. She was a threat. Now this stuff became a threat to national security almost. This is some bad stuff here. You got some spy stuff here, right? This stuff is the stuff she had. I mean, this is some bad stuff. So after a day of no response, she reached out to Peter. Remember Peter? And gave him a warning that she was planning to go to the press. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the problem. This goes for anybody out there. You get involved in this situation. Now the girl is getting ready to go to the press. She didn't want money. I don't know if she was fame. Maybe she was scorned. She maybe got lied to. That Bobby said I was going to leave my wife. Oh, he made her have a abduction. I'm saying abortion. All of these things she's scoring now, and now she's saying I'm going to go to the press. So let's notch off. That could be one of the reasons she's no longer with us. She was about to go to the press. Now she had a diary. Y'all remember this? In this diary, they were saying that they was not calling her back. Okay. In her diary, and this is what it was doing. And we're going to talk about a lady in a minute that's very instrumental to this story as we get ready to come to a close in a little bit. But as always, I have to do a little updating my notes. So I just want you to stand by here. In the meantime, don't forget, like I said, go to my boys' podcast, Canadian Awareness, where I update the show notes here for the last part of the show. And we'll get right to it right about now. So hang on one moment here. Now, one of the things that I want to really bring a few things home together, okay? And it's important that we all kind of get to know what we're doing here. And we're just going down this timeline with Marilyn Monroe and everything else. So let me kind of keep going as we get down to where we are. And if you've had an opportunity, definitely subscribe to the Why the Big Secret YouTube channel. Now, on the last 2 pages of her diary entries, this was entry in August the 3rd, 1962. She wrote, and this was August the 3rd, 1962. She said, Peter said, Robert will come tomorrow. I don't know if he will. So obviously, this is her last entry that Robert Kennedy was going to come to her house tomorrow. So she wrote this. And so Peter Lawford told her that, Bobby is coming to see you tomorrow. And this is the last thing in her entry at this moment. And of course, the story changes from there. At August the 4th, 1962, neighbors reported hearing a disturbance from Monroe's home in that evening. And then, of course, August the 5th, 1962, she was found expired in her home. Now, we're going to get into some open conversation here, and we're going to talk about a few other things. Now, following her expiration, is what we want to call it, or whatever happened, there was a ton of information to begin coming out. It was ruled a probability of suicide. They said, okay, this was suicide. And most people said that seemed to be less likely. Bobby denied having a relationship with her. In fact, there was a letter that he kind of put out, and he was just letting everybody know, I don't have no relationship going on with this chick, not at all. And the letter was from Jean Kennedy Smith, a sister of the Kennedy brothers, was found in Meredith's home, which seemingly confirmed, or her home, which was a relationship that did exist. It was under, and of course, it read, says, understand that you and Bobby are a new item. And then we all think you should come with him when he comes back east. This is ridiculous. Okay. Then there was another part with the LA police officer, Mike Rodemiller. Now, he claims he found, in the LAPD archives, recording stating that Marilyn was killed to protect the Kennedy secrets, and Peter Lawford watched. Now, what secrets would she have been privileged to? So at this point, you have a woman that is sleeping with the president of the United States, who was the senator. So her secrets went back a lot. You have Bobby Kennedy, the attorney general, and he was writing books, toward the crime. So now all of a sudden you have all these different people. Now let's go back to Jackie Onassis, his wife. She wasn't too thrilled. Of course, she knew that the president was messing around with Marilyn. And then, of course, she had a lover in the mix, too, who she ended up marrying when that was over with. All of these people. But then when you got crime of passion and all this after, there's a lot of stuff that could be coming out. Peter Lawford witnessed, supposedly, the poisoning. And he cried when he confronted by Rodemiller. Okay, this is what he's saying. Weeks after the confession, Rodemiller was almost killed by a motorcycle who fired a pistol at him. These people are getting whacked off like the mafia movies. Okay, anybody who knew anything, Rodemiller claims confession only came after lying to Bobby about his home being wiretaps. Now, they had wiretaps, and there was a lady that actually had a lot of information on that. We'll get to that in just a moment. Rodemiller says that Lawford and Bobby visit Marilyn the day of her death. Y'all with me on this? And Bobby was in search of the diary, but nobody found it. Peter says Bobby poured a powder into a glass of water and this is allegedly, by the way, okay? He forced her to drink it, and they watched until she was no longer breathing. Now, how would this work? This would be my interpretation of what really went down that moment. If it went down this way. Bobby showed up and said, "Hey, listen, this is too much. You cannot go out here and tell everybody me and my brother has been tanking this thing. And you can't go out here and tell all the stuff that you knew, because there was a rumor that she knew that they was talking about the UFOs. Now, I'm saying I'm just throwing the UFO stuff in the hat because that's what I am. I'm a UFO investigator, so why not? But the truth of the matter is she was about to expose the fact about a crash UFO. We already know JFK was somewhat involved in entanglement. Now, there's a lot of people that was having affairs. We know that. And it wasn't worth killing people over, right? Everybody knew, the press, everybody knew she was messing with Kennedy. Even the wives knew. So it wasn't what would have tipped the scale that it's time for her to be taken seriously, right? To the threats of what she was doing. Now, once again, we go into this fact with Bobby visiting her for the last moments. And I think the conversation, he probably looked at her and said, "Hey, look here, this got to stop. We got two guys out here is about to put two taps right here, center mass. Okay, it's going to hurt. And this is really going to hurt. Or you can drink this water, this whatever, and it's not going to hurt." She knew. He gave her an ultimatum. I can guarantee you, because from what they saying is, the guy Peter says he watched him pour it in her and say, "Drink this." Okay, maybe she was laying on the bed and she was out of it and she thought it was a tonic. Maybe he says, "Okay, this is for your headache. This is for your headache, Marilyn. Take this." But I think he told her the road stops here. This is gotta stop. You got two choices. The two guys gonna come in, two taps, or we're gonna take you down here, whatever, and this is gonna be the deal. And so at this point, this is what happened to her. And Peter practically supposedly drove the way. He drove Bobby to the airport like, "Hey, you got to go. We got to get you out of here." Detective Lynn Franklin pulled them over for speeding. You get all these witnesses, right? There were 2 assassination attempts against Franklin following that. So people was trying to bump him out. Anybody who's seen him there was just like, we got to get rid of all of this stuff. This is crazy. Okay. And then there was previous records stated that Kennedy was not in LA. They can make that disappear during the time, but the Detective Franklin's book, which now is called the Beverly Hills Murder File, and the OCD records indicated he otherwise. But there was no crime. Nobody's been charged for this. Nobody's been charged for this. Now, according to Hollywood private investigator Fred Otash, Peter woke Fred from his sleep with a phone call stating he needed to speak with him in person, and he was on his way to Fred's house. Otash says he was well known, and he called on Hollywood for help with dirty side jobs. He was one of these, like The Fixer or Scandal. What was the girl name? In Scandal. Conversations upon arrival. Marilyn's dead. Where's Langford? First word. Otash recalled he told me that Bobby Kennedy had broken up the affair with Marilyn, and that she was hysterically calling the White House, the Justice Department, the Honest Port, insisting that Bobby get in touch with her, and that the Department of Justice called Bobby in San Francisco and told him, you better get your down to LA because she is out of control. Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, Olivia Pope, Nicole, yeah. Photos show Marilyn face down holding a phone receiver, but autopsy report indicated that she was on her back for a while and immediately following her death. Now, this leads many people to assume, okay, that Marilyn's body was moved to stage her death, that it wasn't a suicide. Okay, this is the game that's going on here. And, unacknowledged, we're going to go to Stephen Greer. If y'all don't ever forget, Stephen Greer had a documentary out right here called Unacknowledged. And in his memo, now, if you know Stephen Greer is a ufology guy, UFO dude. Okay. I got a little background, I think, with him. So Stephen Greer, if you know about him, he's all about the UFO thing. So where would this come together to at this point, anyway, so Stephen Greer has a movie, and in the movie, he was talking about the Marilyn Monroe. And when I first saw that, I'm like, what? Why would he's way out here in consciousness CE5. What would he even want to have a conversation about Marilyn Monroe? Unless, just like everything else, and he actually talks about there was information about wiretaps. Now, this was between a lady named Dorothy Killigan. Now, she was a Hollywood agent, I'm sorry, Howard Rothberg, that's his name. Now, Dorothy was like the big shot. She was the one who knew the dirt on everybody. Okay. Matter of fact, I think I got a little information as we get her come to a close with her. But Dorothy was actually the one who was doing the interviews, and this lady was well known in the community when it came down to behind the scenes information. And so it was one of those things. So let me see here. I got a little information here. Okay, well, information on Dorothy was that she was a TV host for a show. Okay. And it was What's My Line? If y'all remember that was a show. Okay. And it was a very known journalist, and she was a crime reporter. So why not? She had this information. And she's also was covering a lot of high profile cases at the time. And she was a Pulitzer Prize winner, nominee for her work, actually. The New York Post called her the most powerful, listen up, the most powerful female voice in America. Her accomplishments throughout her career often compared to the greatness of Oprah, Barbara Waters. So this girl, the Snoop, is on the case now. Okay. And now it is changing a little bit out there. Okay. This lady is on the case. All right. And it's getting ready to get real. So what do you think is happening now? It's picking up steam and everything else. And so supposedly on the wiretap, though, on the call, Howard states that Monroe was aware of a visit by the president to a secret air base for the purpose of inspecting things from outer space. You heard me say it. We've been working toward this all night long. Okay. This is why we're here. This is the purpose of it all, and everything else. So once again, there was a wiretap. All right. And in the wiretap, Marilyn Monroe, was aware that the president was about to go to a secret air base for the purpose of inspecting an outer space craft, and was planning, listen to me, she was planning to disclose everything she knew. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the problem. Okay, we don't know she's done all this other stuff. I'm telling you, that is no joke. That UFO thing, this UFO thing, all of that stuff is no joke. It's no joke. This is why today you heard in a congressional hearing that they saying what consequences. Now they want to do this stuff right in plain sight. But there was a wiretap that she wanted to go and tell what she saw or what she heard. Not about I was pregnant by this dude. Not about the world is going to find out I'm sleeping with Bobby. I love him. He got 11 kids, and I'm going to take him from his wife. Not about that she was messing with Joe DiMaggio, Joe, which she ended up marrying. Not about she was running around with Frank Sinatra's Rat Pack and all that stuff. The one thing that stood out the most was the girl was about to disclose about a spaceship that landed, and she wanted to tell the world. Why wouldn't she? Because this would be one thing she thinks that she can just expose to the world, because everything else would have been off the facts, right? It's just been everyone else. So this couldn't happen. I'm telling y'all, this is not what time it is when it gets down to this. And so in the 50s, Killigan, this is the guy, learned that the U.S. and UK was working together. This is all in this wiretap from Stephen Griggs. You want to make sure you check with this. They was working together, identify origins of a crash spacecraft and dead bodies that was found with it in New Mexico in 1940s. Ladies and gentlemen, I end my conversation about her right there to kind of go into those facts of what we heard there, and we'll go in a couple of more minutes here of some why questions. But again, we know there's so much has happened out here. We know this girl was out there. Okay, for those of you talking about autonomy and boss chick and everything else, she is now could be classified in today as whatever. You know, you can call her something else. But the whole point is this is serious. And so we've heard all the stories, we've heard all the myths and everything about whatever was going on with Marilyn Monroe. But I honestly think that at the end of the day, the UFO thing back then was so big, so powerful, because remember, there was some stuff that JFK, right before he left here, in fact, this is a memo that he had, that he was right in 1963. He was requesting all information about UFOs now. This is the president. It's no longer, he's wanting to know. And there's also been association or stories or rumor that was one thing back then they did not want to come out. The rest of the stuff was public. Everything else was public. Her messing with the brothers and cousins and friends and at the parties and messing with their wives in their faces. That was public. But it's the UFO thing. She was about to report about UFOs. I think that was the mix. I think that's where it was. And I think that you have to then understand that this is real when it comes down to that. And I don't know. But again, I would have to check. So real quick before we get up out of here, anyone got any questions? Anybody got some stuff you want to add to the conversation real quick? Because again, we're looking at this thing. And Lonnie, what do you think? What do you think? Did we miss anything? Because I think at this point, that was some good stuff when it comes down to the show and everything else. So let's do this. I'm going to get some final words, and then we will get ready to get on out of here. And first, I want to thank each and every one of you, especially those who send information to be part of our research team. We will be reaching out to each and every one of you this week. So if you're here watching, make sure you go through that. Make sure tomorrow you guys come over to Why the Big Secret. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you come over tomorrow night. We're going to do a show, and we're going to be talking about this thing that's in public right now that is an issue, okay, and a very serious issue that we all need to be aware of when it comes down to what's happening in the public, the freedom of speech, when it comes down to this topic and everything else. Lonnie, put the link up to the YouTube channel. Guys, we need 10 people to reach our 7,000 subscribers. So if 10 of you have not had an opportunity to subscribe to the channel, please go ahead and do that right now. There'll be a link into the subscription for you in the chat right now. 10 people subscribe to Why the Big Secret, and I'll be most appreciative to you. We will hit our 7K, and we will be doing that as well. So in the meantime, that was the show tonight. And if there's any particular topics that you want us to investigate, to research, go to whythebigsecret.com, go to the Contact Us page, put some information there. If you have an experience that you want to share, eventually we're going to do some shows where we want people to talk about their experience. We'll do that on Why the Big Secret. Please go over to whythebigsecret.com and put in information, your experience, and everything else. You'll be able to do that there. Get on our newsletter that we're going to be sending out each month as well. And let's give thanks out to the people who put some input into the show, our show producers, Billy Carson for allowing us to be here on Forbidden Knowledge TV, all the other things that is just going, and all of you that have spent your time here. And I really appreciate you for being here as well. Definitely, again, if you have not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so. And we would appreciate you from there. We need 3 more subscribers, okay, that we will hit 7,000, okay. Also, there you go. Hit that like button. This is for you. I bought this for you. And then let's get special. Subscribe here if you have not, but also go into the link and subscribe to Why the Big Secret. We need a couple of people to hit the 6,000 from there. All right, so the last thing here, again, I'm pushing for success for my boy Anthony and his podcast, because he got some great stuff there. I'm gonna leave you with the final words of his podcast. I'm telling you, you're gonna get some great stuff there. This dude is on it when it comes down to what he talks about and the people that he's interviewing on his podcast. And so I think each and every one of you should go ahead and do that as well. All right, much love to you. I love you here from the Dallas, Texas area, and I really do. Hope all of you have a great Thanksgiving. Make sure you love your family, kiss your family, hugs everyone. I'll be at home doing nothing, but I wish the greatness for each and every one of you. Check out my boy on Canadian Awareness, for sure. We hit 7,000. Love you guys. Thank you. The trophy goes to whoever was that person that tipped us over. Much love. Good night.